Howdy, aviators. I just wanted to make a narrated PowerPoint to go with this PowerPoint for your initial look through, just so you have something to look back and reference as you study this. So we're going to be going over the G1000 today. The G1000 consists of two display systems. You have your primary flight display over there on the left and your multi-function display on your right is pictured there. And you can see below it, there's still your classic instruments there, called your standby instruments. Sometimes these are steam gauges like you see in this picture, and other times there are things like the Garmin G5 where it's a glass standby instrument, which is essentially just a condensed version of a PFD. So we're going to go and get started here by talking about our multi-function display, also known as the MFD. So you can see in the top left here is where we're going to start. It's just your nav frequencies. So if you look up here, these ones are your primary. So this is nav1 primary, nav2 primary on the bottom, and this is nav1 standby, nav2 standby. And then over here on this strip, you have all your engine systems indicators. So at the top, you got tachometer, you got fuel flow, your oil pressure, oil temperature, exhaust gas temperatures, your vacuum system, and then your fuel quantity system, engine hours, and then all of your electrical systems right here to include your ammeter. And then down here in the bottom left, you can hit that engine button. There's a little soft key right underneath it, and that'll give you a more in-depth view of your engine data. It can also give you a lean function, which is really helpful to find your lean or rich of peak, depending on what you're trying to run. Now, this map function right here, if you hit that, it'll bring up, you can look at a sectional map, you can look at your low IFR map, you can look at a weather map, you can look at terrain map. So it's really depending on what you have downloaded to your G1000 and then what you want to display while you're flying. Move my face here real quickly. So over here, this is a declutter button. So if you just hit that, it starts removing things to clean up the display. So it'll start taking, it can take like NOTAMs off, or it can take, it can take that compass rose off, so you can see just your airports. And essentially, it's to help you just cut down on things so you can focus on what you're really trying to look at. And at the top right, you can see it's a comm display. So unlike the nav, where on the right that was the primary, the G1000 puts the primaries in the center. So this is primary COM 1, and this is primary COM 2. Standby COM 1 and standby COM 2. And then here at the top, this is the navigational data that is punched in currently. So you got your ground speed, your track, and your estimated time en route until your next fix. And this is just the map that it currently has listed on here. All right, moving on. This is the bread and butter of the G1000 suite. This is the primary flight display, or the PFD. So you'll see, you recognize some of these things already. The nav display is this exact same, as is the COM display. And then the navigational display, this top ribbon is the exact same. And you can outfit this to display different things. The MFD had slightly different things, but you can configure that the way you want. And then just underneath it, this is your autopilot is activated, and it shows it what it's tracking laterally, so the localizer in this case. And then the altitude, it's currently at 1,200 feet. Alrighty. So just working from top to bottom, this is where our pitot-static instruments and gyroscopic instruments are consolidated and displayed in electronic form. So starting at the top, you've got your inclinometer, or your ball from your turn and slip coordinator. And you can see this rectangular piece will just slip to the left or right. So if it goes left, you'll hit left rudder. If it goes right, you'll hit right rudder, just like your turn and slip coordinator on steam gauges. Your attitude indicator is really encompassed by the entire display here, and then centers around this triangle. And then whenever these two triangles line up, that's when you're at zero bank. All right, and then you got 10, 20, and 30 degrees bank on your attitude indicator. All right, and then just below, this is your airspeed ribbon, so your airspeed indicator, if you will. So here's your numerical value, and then it's punctuated out here by 10, 5, 10s numerically, and then 5s by these little tick marks. So 110, 100. Alrighty. This is the HSI, or the horizontal situational indicator, and it overlays the GPS, the VOR. In this case, it's tracking a localizer, and it overlays that on a compass rose, which is extremely helpful. You can also see here the moving map from the MFD is displayed. And again, you can switch that to whatever you want as far as what map you're displaying. And then here's just some DME data displayed in conjunction as well. Alrighty, and this is your Colesman window, if you will. It's where you put your baro input for your altimeter setting. And then here's the actual altimeter, so 1,200 feet. And you can see it's ribboned off here. So as you climb, those numbers will come down and then be read in that magnifying glass there. You can see here, this is the glide slope for the ILS that's currently punched in. If you're on a navigational glide slope, GPS glide slope as well, like an LNAV, they would display that purple. And right here's your vertical speed indicator. So if you're increasing, this is plus 500, plus 1,000, and negative 500, negative 1,000, etc. That black bar will move. So currently this aircraft is neither ascending nor descending. All right, and we already talked about these, just the same as the MFD. All right, so these are the soft key options. Just to go back one slide and show you what we're looking at. We're looking at these right at the bottom, and these have actual keys that you can press right underneath them. So this is inset. That's just so you can change the little map on the bottom left there. The PFD, this just has a bunch of different options. You can display the DME information that was on there. You can toggle that on and off. You can look at different wind information or to display bearing to your next GPS fix or anything like that. Your OBS mode, that just selects, if you're navigating with your GPS, if you want to put in OBS mode, just hit that button. CDI, that lets you toggle between GPS and a frequency-based station like a VOR or an ILS. DME, that'll toggle DME information on or off your screen. The transponder, you hit that, and then you can, it'll actually display numbers over here, and so you can punch in your numbers, or you can just click the button that says Squawk VFR if that's what you're trying to do. Ident, self-explanatory. ATC asks you to ident. There's the button for it. And then timer, which is important for IFR flight. You hit that and you can start a timer. And then the ref is just, it stores your VREF speeds in there as well. If you go to the nearest button here, it'll display the nearest airports, and it'll have frequencies and stuff like that as well for you. And then alerts is anytime there's a system alert, you can click on that and you can read it. All right, so here's just similar things that we talked about, but this will give you an opportunity to quiz yourself. So listed 1 through 18, just the different functions here on the PFD. And then on this slide, you can go through and make sure that you actually know the different things on the PFD. Give yourself a little quiz. All right, so this is the audio panel controls key. This is between the PFD and the MFD. And this has functions that affect both of them. So the majority of these it's called the audio panel controls key. It's audio functions. So determining what comm you want to be speaking on. The PA system in the airplane, and then you can also change volume settings for the co-pilot and the pilot and the passengers. And then here at the bottom, adjusting volume and squelch of passengers. The most important button on here is this big red one. And so that's if you do lose your MFD, you can hit that button and it'll transition your multifunction display to your primary flight display, which is a huge safety feature. So it's really, you have a couple of standby instruments because your MFD also acts as a standby. All right, and then there's just them blanked out, so you can go through these and practice your memorization. Make sure you know what each one of these buttons does. All right. So the PFD and the MFD are actually the exact same hardware. It's just by hitting that red button, you can switch back and forth. So all these buttons do the same things on both of them, and if you affect the buttons on one of the screens, it'll provide that information to both of the systems because it's the same computer that powers both of them. So just really quickly, we're not going to go through each one of these individually, but just generally, here's your navigation buttons. Your heading and your altitude, you can bug your heading and your altitude as well as using those for autopilot functions. This is your autopilot function tab, so all these buttons let you control the autopilot system. This will help you hear ATC better. You can switch your nav and comm up here. And then this is your, when you get your altimeter setting, that's how you adjust your altimeter setting in the Colesman window, just under the altimeter that I showed you guys. And then for the moving map, you can increase and decrease the range of the diameter that you're looking at. And you can also pan around. It's a joystick that you can move around. And then this is how you load all your approaches. So your flight plan, direct to, menu, procedures, and then clear and enter buttons. And then that's how you navigate through those systems pages, is with this knob right here. And if you want to quiz yourself again, here's all the specific names for these buttons. And then you can go and quiz yourself here on this blank slide. All right, so the G1000 system components, what I want to highlight here is that their air data computer is replacing your pitot-static instrument. So it's taking your airspeed indications from your pitot tube in your static source, and it's also taking your altitude and vertical speed and outside air temperature, because it does give you your true airspeed as well. And so it combines those, and then it presents them to you on your PFD, negating the need for individual airspeed indicators, altitude indicator, or VSI. And then down here you have your AHARS system, which is your attitude heading reference system. And so that'll tell you your attitude, rate of turn, and slip. So it's got an accelerometer in there, or it's got an accelerometer that's taking readings from, as well as a magnetometer for heading. Here's your magnetometer right here. And that feeds into the AHARS system and then presents that data on the PFD for you. So again, that removes the need for gyroscopic instruments. Of course, in this example, we do still have gyroscopic and pitot-static instruments as a standby. Alrighty, and that is it for the G1000 system. Obviously, it takes a lot to get to know that intimately, especially when you start getting through some of the menu pages as you dig through some of the soft key stuff, and then programming the GPS and autopilot. It gets a little complicated, but that just will come with time and experience. So all this information just came from the pilot's guide and the cockpit guide that was provided through Liberty. Alrighty, thanks for listening and happy studying.